Welcome to A Simple Life. We are gonna move Lucy and her two little piglets over to this area. They're doing a good job. They tilled, they've done some mucking about. It's not bad in there, but it's done. It'll start right here where she's just at, and it'll go down all the way past that tarp. Her piglets are still way too small and cute to be put in with the bigger piglets, so we're gonna keep them separated for a little bit longer.
I put the pigs in my pastures, I put goats in the pastures, I put chickens in my pasture. I think that it does a lot for the soil, as well as each animal brings something different to the area. What do I mean? Well, chickens, their poo is very high in nitrogen, as well as they like to eat a lot of the small seeds. That's great for weed control. Then you have goats. Goats will eat down a lot of the stuff that drives you nuts along the fence lines, your brush, your bramble, that kind of stuff. They're great at destroying that. Also, their poo doesn't have any seeds in it. Once again, that's not a bad thing. Then we have pigs. Pigs, they destroy root systems. They're really good at it. It's not always a great thing, but they're good at it. So if you put them in a garden that has a bunch of plants still growing, they'll go through and they'll pretty much destroy everything. And you have fresh ground that's been tilled. For example, the area that the other pigs are currently in, that pasture has had meat chickens grown in it, it's had goats in it, pigs in it, horses in it. The only thing it hasn't really had in it is cows, but maybe someday it will have cows. I'm not sure what I'm gonna plant in here this year. I'm still gonna need the ground work. I find that animals have a incredible, unique ability to work the ground in different ways. Those different ways save me a lot of time and work. So if I can use an animal to do something and they can do a better job than I can do it, I'm gonna have an animal do it. As they say, time is money, or garden is bacon. I don't remember.
Let's see how these little piglets are doing. You can see she did a bunch of tilling in here. This ground is really loose. It has been the site of where we've had our garden for the last 3 years. So for 3 years, I've been putting in compost. We planted potatoes and tomatoes and leeks and broccoli and rhubarb and lovage and all kinds of great stuff. So there's that. There's also the fact that there's been fruit that's fallen on the ground, and so there's just tons of great smells and all kinds of good stuff that she's gonna love. And sure enough, that is what she's doing. She's absolutely loving this area. I've heard that Idaho pasture pigs won't root if their minerals are correct, if they have the right minerals. I use a NutriBalancer in their feed, and I still find that I still get some rooting. And it doesn't matter if I give them all you can eat feed, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it doesn't really matter if I do that or not. I find that if there's a lot of grubs and worms and stuff in the soil, they'll still root for them. I'm not really sure why that is. If somebody's got some knowledge about that, please share. I love it. But I found that they root when the soil's really soft. It's just what I found, and I'm not really opposed to it. I'm okay with them turning the soil over. I think it's a lot more natural than getting a tiller in there. I'm not a huge fan of running tillers, but they have their place. So when they have their place, I still use them. Oh, here's a sleepy baby. Let's see if we can sneak up on the sleepy baby. As my boys call it, a marshmallow, which is haylage. We're gonna take a bale of haylage out to the cows. It's a neighbor of mine who doesn't spray anything on his fields. He puts his cow manure out there. He doesn't give his cows any hormones, any antibiotics, anything like that. He doesn't really grain them. So their manure is basically stuff off that field. We are going to go take one of those. It's actually from last year. I have it left over from last year. We're going to take one of those down to the cows, and I'll open it up for them and let them graze or nibble on that for the next week or so. So I'm going to be picking up about 10 or 12 more from this year. because that's what I use to feed during the winter. Because we cut hay, we have a lack of stockpile on our fields. I still can get the cows through the fields, and I keep them moving, and we make sure that they aren't staying in their own poop all winter long. But when I can't get them on the fields because either it's too wet or it's been grazed down as far as I'm willing to let it be grazed, we put them up on the old railroad tracks. And when we put them up on the old railroad tracks, I feed them haylage. And it works out really good. It's about a month or so, maybe 2 months of being up on those railroad tracks, depending on what February looks like. Whenever we get nice weather for about a week or so, I'll start putting them back out on the grasses, just so they can poop out there, to be honest, because I don't want to have all my good winter poop on a bunch of gravel. So the railroad tracks have a good amount of gravel there, but there's still some forage, there's still some like blackberry. We have 2 different varieties of blackberry around here, and the cows actually, they'll eat the blackberry leaves. And when I say they'll eat them, it's not because they're starving. They will literally just walk up to the blackberries and nibble the leaves off. I'm perfectly fine with that. I think it's great. It means that if they're willing to do that, they'll pressure the blackberry down, and I'll have less blackberry on the edges of my field. This is what I start doing about this time of year. You can see this pasture is pretty grazed down. That's a little shorter than I'd like. So we're still working on getting our process dialed in. So this year, this pasture got grazed down a little bit more. Actually, all the pastures did, because I didn't have much of a stockpile. But going forward, in the years to come, we will have stockpile. We'll be going into winter with a good amount of stockpile, and I might even, if the fields start getting away from me a little bit, meaning like they're getting a little too tall, and I can't get the cows to move through them quick enough, I can have the guy that baled those come in and bale, like, 4 or 5 acres of haylage for me. And while it won't be premium cat's meow haylage, usually those bales cost me a little, not too bad, but if I can get somebody to bale them, I think it's like $20, maybe $30 for each bale, and he comes out and he bales them for me, that's easy. And then I can just put them on the edge of the field. It's just a thought, not really sure what we'll end up doing, but cows are happy, they're fed, they're gonna be on this pasture for a couple more days. I did notice the other day when I was out here moving them with the boys that I caught one of them taking a tongue and wrapping up some blackberry and walking off with it, and I thought, well, that's interesting. All right, well, we're gonna get back to the house and do a few things, and then probably head up to Herman's and start working on the greenhouse again. The greenhouse, I got the dog house done. We'll check for baby goats, see if we got some more baby goats. We had one born last night. We got 4 other moms that are ready to go.